Yeah, got my popcorn for the show, it's Tubi time. Cheesy sci-fi flicks and every weird rhyme. Aliens and spaceships made a tinfoil dream.
Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of To Be Decided. I am your host and dungeon controller, none the wiser, caster of pods, level 17. And who am I with on this game today?
Level 17, wow. That's crazy high level. Well,
I'm in
my
control of the
name
moon.
is Richard Fartbuckle, High Wizard of Ragebait. I'm a level 16 Rage Wizard.
Wow, 16. That's crazy. I'm
That's true.
Biggie Poop, level 20 Poop Meister.
Whoa.
A level 20.
Yeah, I'm a big
That's a
pooper.
lot of poop.
Yeah, you're telling me.
You should see a doctor.
I have
To brag.
multiple.
And I am the newest to the party. I am Tank McStank, the Danger Ranger, level 6.9.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
all right. Well, let me roll to see what kind of Tubi movie we get.
Okay.
Rolling my quadradecahedron, and it is a 2. What did you guys get?
I got
got
a
a
0
3.
somehow.
69.
All
A lot
right.
of sides on that die.
I have
Mine just stayed
good,
on the edge. It's like
I have
on
a
the
good,
point. It won't go
ability
down.
score modifier.
Oh.
So, Ivy, I liked your number the best.
Unbelievable.
You get initiative. What movie should we watch and talk about?
Well, I think that we should go on a journey into the app of the Tubi and watch a movie called Mazes and Monsters from like the early 80s, made for TV, I think.
Oh my goodness. Would you say that this movie got a 4.2 on IMDb?
I'd say that sounds about right.
Yes, putting it near the bottom of all the movies we've watched, but slightly above last week's Dungeons and Dragons 2000 movie.
That's kind of insane, actually,
Mm-hmm.
considering we've watched movies like, Werewolf Santa and Cash Storm.
Well, Cash Storm will forever be at the top, and
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Werewolf Santa will forever be at the bottom, fighting it out with Meth Gator. But the important thing is that this movie, you just need to gush about this movie, because this movie has more treasure chests than a famous RPG you play with your friends at a table.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I actually did find this at a thrift store on DVD like 3 years ago. And I went through all my DVDs now and I can't find it. And I hate that. I don't know how or why I would have gotten rid of it. So I very much mourn that loss.
I have heard of this phenomenon before. It is
Yeah.
called the effect of the Mandela.
Yeah.
So you told yourself that you've always had it and you haven't had it? Interesting.
Yeah, I think it's like I desired it so much that I just was in a delusion that I thought I had it on DVD.
Yes. And the weird thing is you hadn't heard of this movie until after you watched it. So it's
Yeah.
a paradox that you told us about it.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, guys. Looking at what was uploaded to Tubi, it kind of just looks like it made the leap from Betamax straight to streaming.
Yeah, it's like literally just like a VHS rip, like from like TV. It's crazy.
it
Like,
was a-
not
it was a
even
made for
240p.
I mean, it was a made-for-TV movie.
Was it ABC, CBS, or NBC? I see that it's also streaming on Peacock, which makes me think that NBC was the one that
Yeah.
picked it up.
Maybe?
NBC.
Movie of the week.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So this was the movie of the week. Could you imagine you had 4 channels? It's 1982. You have 4 channels, and everyone had to watch this or what was on those other 3 channels.
Actually, while we're sitting here for a minute, I kind of want to go look at I should have done this earlier, when it came out and what else was on TV that night.
Is there a website that shows you?
Oh, was there something better on?
So it came out, on December 28th, 1982. So I'm going to look up December. So it was like a after Christmas movie. That's a weird spot.
Wow.
1982.
I wasn't quite born yet, but my mom was ready to pop. I might have been listening to this through the womb.
I think it was.
There was wrestling on.
Oh yeah.
Hang on. I
Let me guess, Rowdy Piper?
I
Randy
wanna say
Savage?
it was
No, it was
on
Ric
CBS.
Flair.
Woo!
And CW.
Wait, okay, you said
I
CBS.
yeah, I was gonna say I think it's CBS because it was produced by Procter and Gamble Productions, and they did a lot of work with CBS according to Wikipedia.
Oh, I found an entire list of the primetime programming that night.
Mm.
Mhm.
Oh.
There was Father Murphy, Sweet 16, Laverne and Shirley, Lost in Spacesuits, Three's Company,
Laverne.
Diamond Jack. Yeah. Had
Oh,
some
wow.
tough competition there.
Wait, someone missed out on Laverne and Shirley to see
Yeah.
Mazes and Monsters.
Forget Laverne and Shirley. Three's Company. Come on.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, there was so much sitcom gold. Like, I can't imagine just living with that regret your whole life.
During
FOMO
the
was very
commercials, they
much
would change
real.
it back to Three's Company.
Mm.
Yeah,
Well,
but you
if you had
probably
to
had to
choose,
walk up to the knob and
Yeah.
click it back
yeah.
and forth.
And this is like the 80s where your TV also had a side cabinet for drinks. So maybe you
Of
weren't
course.
so bad.
Yeah. Perhaps life was good.
Yeah. Well, I think we're burying about everything in this movie. So, Mazes and Monsters, directed by Steve Hillard Stern, 1982, written by Tom Lazarus, back from the dead, and Rona Jaff. Stars Tom Hanks, some no name, Wendy Crewson, and David Wasaki. Ivy, what did I miss? Did I miss anything fun?
Well, I think you missed the fact that it stars Tom Hanks from Bosom Buddies, his finest, most famous role. He's
Yeah,
only been in this and Bosom Buddies, so
Oh, that's why you know him.
yeah. You think I watched Forrest Gump?
Well, at the
I
end, I'm
wish
going to ask everyone, is this better than Forrest Gump?
Yes.
Right. I forgot about that. Wow.
So, yeah, this is starring Tom Hanks. And, instead of just making you drool at the bit, Ivy, just take us away into the story. What is Mazes and Monsters?
Okay, so just as we kind of bury the lead at the beginning, going into what else you could have been watching that night, this movie also kind of buries the lead about who the lead is. Because it seems like at first the main character is someone named JJ, and his whole character, we get to really get a look into his life. He has like an overbearing mother, and she's an interior decorator, and she's always like messing with his room. He has a pet parakeet who you think will be like relevant somehow. Like, he'll repeat something back and it'll be like a clue to a mystery. Nope, he's just there. But his biggest character trait,
actually, it's a minor bird. It's a
well,
distinct species.
it's a distinction. Okay. That's why we have you here, to keep us like fact checks. So nobody can like at us in the comments.
You know it.
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
But his main character trait is that he always wears really dumb hats. Every single scene, he has a different like weird hat, whether it's like a pith helmet or like a pilot hat. Like he always has something weird on his head every single
construction helmet.
Yeah, literally, like just like costume hats. So he's like the main character, and he's going to college. And there's two other characters who he had known, I guess, previously, that are Kate and Daniel. And they all play the Mazes and Monsters game, which is a D&D knockoff, obviously. And they need a fourth player. And then we get to see Tom Hanks, who is Robbie. And his parents tell him not to play that stupid game anymore because his grades always suffer when he plays it. And he's like, okay. And then they're like, hey, we need another player. And he's like, you know what? I'll play it with you. So he goes into their little session, and they're, doing the knockoff D&D stuff. And he starts dating Kate. And again, this is like a pretty good little ways into the movie. And we still don't really, we're not really focusing on Robbie. It's really more about the fact that JJ feels left out and useless.
Mhm.
But at some point, Robbie does tell Kate that he has a brother, which I thought this was really funny. He has a brother named Hall, and his birthday is Halloween. And I thought that had to be on purpose. I don't know. That was just really funny to me. And he ran away on Halloween also. And he feels guilty about that. And he has dreams where he's in a Stranger Things-esque void, chasing after Hall. So, and at this point, JJ is even further in his kind of, depressed feelings, and he thinks he's going to kill himself. So he goes into a cave system that the public isn't allowed in. And then he's like, you know what? I think this would be a great place to LARP. So he goes back to the group and he's like, we should do live action mazes and monsters in these caves. And they're like, okay. So they all go in there and they have a lot of fun. And this is where Robbie starts to kind of, become more of a main character and kind of tip off. He kills a Gorville in his mind, which is just like, a little gargoyle dragon creature. And actually on the cast list, I saw that the Gorville is played by Kevin Peter Hall, who plays the Predator.
No way.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes. So
Wow.
Why
he's
is that a
everywhere.
thing?
No, this movie
Predator.
is an automatic to be enjoyed.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. He's
Like
the most famous
from
person in this
everybody.
movie.
Cutting his mandibles as the Gorville.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Is this
It's wonderful.
No, isn't this after? When did Predator come out?
Predator was like 87.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is
So
after
this was-
Predator, right?
No, this was before, way before. This was 82.
This is 1982.
Yeah.
It felt like It felt 90s for me for some reason.
Well, Tom Hanks, I feel like, like a 90s
Yeah, it just felt 90s to
commodity.
me.
Yeah, I see that. So he kills the Gorville, and he's a little too into it. Like, he really thinks he killed a Gorville. And he goes from that to just completely being immersed in his character. And he has a dream of Hall, who is now a being called the Great Hall. And he's telling him that he needs to, be holy and be abstinent and be, generous so he can reach like a level of holiness to come find him at the Two Towers. And they point out in movie that, yes, it's like a Tolkien reference. But as soon as I saw that, I turned around to my boyfriend and I was like, they're going to the Twin Towers, aren't they?
Yep.
But we'll get back to that.
Not get
Yeah.
remade.
Yeah.
There's no
They
there's
cannot
no
physically
remaster
remake.
of this.
Yeah.
There's
Nope.
no remake coming. It'll be a very different movie.
Reboot of Mazes and Monsters when? Never.
No, in your dreams, you wish. And he goes just immediately from, being normal to just being fully delusional 24/7 that he is this character, and he breaks up with his girlfriend. And I'm pretty sure this goes on for like at least a few months in the movie.
Like a semester, it feels
yeah,
like.
because they notice like, oh, he got rid of all his possessions, like, and they're not concerned about it. His friends are just like, oh, he's just really into the game.
And,
Like, no red flags here.
and
So
it's long enough for that other guy to start dating her.
yeah,
Yeah.
she starts dating Daniel, and they're like well into their relationship. Yeah.
I
So
have,
they
I
just
have
kind of-
I have a whole psychological analysis
Oh, please, I can't wait.
on Robbie, and to a lesser extent the other characters like JJ and everyone. But please continue.
I can't wait for that. So Halloween comes and Robbie runs away, and the next morning they're like, oh no, he, snapped and did something stupid. We have to go find him. And they check the caves and they don't find him there. And they're like, well, before we call the police, we should hide all the evidence of us like hanging around in the caves so we can't be implicated. So the police get there, and just immediately they start blaming the game for why this happened. And I will touch on this after I talk about the plot, but this book was inspired by real events, but those real events got very twisted by media. So it's like a very fictional portrayal of events that were already fictionalized. So that's why they're really taking an angle of like blaming the game for all of this. Anyway, so I think a few days pass, I'm not sure. But Robbie is in New York and he's fully in his delusion. And he stabs someone who's trying to rob him because in his mind it's another Gorville. And that kind of snaps him out of it. And he calls Kate and he's like, I blacked out. I don't know why I'm here. There's blood on my knife. I'm scared. So instead of calling, the police to come fetch him, she's like, go to JJ's house and then we'll come get you. And then they all leave in like the morning with the bird, by the way. For some reason, they bring the bird in the cage and they go to New York to fetch him. And then, only then, do they realize the Two Towers. I wonder if it's the Twin Towers. So the climax of the movie is them trying to find Robbie in the World Trade Center. and he's on the building and he's going to jump off. And they're like, no, don't do it. And he says my favorite line in the movie. He says, I have spells. I can fly. And they're like, no, it's just a game. And then
You
he
ran
appears
out of
kind of like,
points.
yeah, they don't have enough points for
No
this.
more mana.
And he's like, oh, okay, you're right. And they all hug. And then it goes to like 6 months later, and they're going to visit him because they've heard he's seen a doctor and he's doing better. And they go up to him and meet him and everything. And he immediately addresses them as their in-game characters. And he refers to his parents as the innkeeper and his wife. And he's like, hey, there's an evil in these woods. We should go fight it. And they're like, okay. So they all go off, sadly, to have one last depressing LARPing session before they mourn the loss of their friend's sanity. And that's the end of the movie.
As credits roll. Yes.
And wistful 80s music plays.
Yeah. So I have to get this off my chest.
Please.
1982 music in this movie sounds like the film strips you'd hear in school. You know, the PSAs, like, you know, put the milk away before it goes bad. Do, 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 do.
Yeah, it's very generic and warbly.
I think Juice Newton would have called the soundtrack corny.
Yeah. It's like we don't have the Barbara Streisand mix, you know?
Yeah.
Barbara
So they're
Exactly.
straight up, like, there's actual songs in the movie, and they're just like the most generic, like, you know, little pop songs.
B-roll.
Yeah. It's very fun.
Stock music.
It's like 70s pop.
Yeah. Made for TV pop.
Yeah. But, you know, a movie from 1982, you don't know what to expect their music to be. Like, it would have been great if it was Jethro Tull that did the soundtrack. Aerosmith.
Kiss?
You know, that would have been a surprise. I would have loved that. But then
No,
you hear
no.
this. Yeah.
No, because this was, I believe, at the height of the Satanic Panic. What, you know, the time after, I mean, as Ivy briefly touched on, you know, kids were getting fully immersed into Dungeons and Dragons, and parents believing that their children had been, you know, seduced by the devil or whatever.
Yeah. Which is really funny because I guess I'll just talk about this now. Because when I brought this up to my boyfriend, he was like, oh, yeah, that's that movie that was like, you know, a satanic panic thing. And to me, it was less satanic panic and more just like bad psychology, because it's like blaming the game for like, you know, the other people not addressing his very obvious mental issues. So it was less of like a satanic thing like it was kind of in real life, because the real life story of how all this started and the reason that she wrote the book is because there was a young man in like 1979 named James Dallas Egbert, and he played D&D, and that is irrelevant to everything else. But he went into like a tunnel and attempted to commit suicide, but it did not work. And so he ran off to stay at a friend's house for a while, and he kind of like ran away from town. And when most people tell this story, they tell it as a kid committed suicide and the police blamed D&D. And that's actually not what happened, because he survived and ran away. And the investigator, William Deere, who was on his case, had like no idea what the game really was. And out of a lot of possibilities of like where he could be, he was like, oh, maybe they went into tunnels to play a live action version of the game and got lost or got hurt. So it was a very innocent suggestion of just like, maybe that's what happened. He had nothing against the game and was not implying that it was dangerous or satanic. And then that's when media took it and says, you know, teen missing because of, you know, spell casting game. And that's when that got very twisted. And William Deere ended up finding James like a year later, I think, or a few months later, and brought him home. And he also attempted again while he was missing, and it also failed. And after he was returned, he attempted a third time, and he did pass away. But William Deere was actually the GOAT, because he visited him, I believe, before he died. And after he died, he wrote a book about like the real story of what happened to clear up all the rumors from the media and clear his own name that like he didn't say anything against D&D. But I see very often that when people repeat this story, they're like, oh, the stupid police blamed, you know, the game. And that's not what happened. So just to clear that up. But again, in real life, it was more a satanic panic issue. And this movie, it was more of like bad psychology. And that is what inspired her to write the book, was because she kind of believed all those headlines. And this movie and book itself, actually, I think more contributed to the like bad press for D&D because it was like just something else that came out that made it more widespread. And a lot of like other,
because
dumb people use this movie as if it's a true story because they thought it was real, and that just made it worse.
because it was based on not the actual events, but the urban legend that that spawned out of it. Okay. Yeah.
So that's the story.
Yeah, this movie is so on the fence whether it hates D&D or it blames it, because like the first scene is like the cops being like, I think these kids were playing that Mazes and Monsters game. Have you heard about it? Oh yeah, my kids play it sometimes. And like they don't really give their opinion on it. And like you have the uptight parents who are always the antagonists in these movies, and they don't like it. So are we supposed to like it? Are we supposed to hate it?
Right.
And are they actually blaming Robbie's downfall to the game, or are they just saying it was just a catalyst?
Right. Yeah, it's very like, again, it's kind of hyped as like, oh, the satanic panic era, and it's like, let's less, panic and more just like kind of confused as what it's trying to portray. So
yeah, like this movie, very confused.
Yeah.
It pulls its own red herring like halfway through it. You think it's going to be about JJ, and JJ's depressed. His friends are moving on. They don't want to play this geeky game anymore.
Yeah.
They reject him, and Tom Hanks decides to start dating one of the people in the group, and you see him all sad, and he only has his minor bird to tattoo. And, he immediately says, I should kill myself in a cave, which is like the instant go-to, once your friends, he didn't even cancel, they rescheduled him.
Yeah. They're like, we'll do it next week.
Yeah, let's do it on Wednesday, they said. And he's like, better kill myself, or I can turn this into a LARPing experience, which is your only two options in 1982.
Right.
So you think right there, you're like, this is about JJ and him coming to terms with it, being a young adult. And then it's like, no, punch to Tom Hanks. This is about Tom Hanks going full beautiful mind for the rest of the movie.
Tom Hanks with the Uno reverse.
Yes. It makes me think that like there was a script written where each character was the main draw, and then like
Clue, there's like a different ending for each.
Because they kind of do that with all the characters. Like there's a scene with Daniel where he's talking to his parents and they're like, you should go into a better industry than computer games, and he's like, but I want to make games. And there's a scene with Kate where she's with her mom and she's like, I just don't want to date. Like they all have a scene where they're like setting up their character's personality.
Mm-hmm.
But then like, again, like only one gets like the dramatic ending.
Right. I think they all had to roll, and whoever got the highest number, the movie became about them.
I also love that like JJ is like 16 years old hanging out with like 20 something plus year olds. Like that's weird.
Well, he's a genius.
Yes.
I mean, his mom, drops the lore bit about how he has an IQ of 190. So
is that high? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, 100 is average. 300 is like freaking Einstein and Stephen Hawking's love child or
so he's only
something.
A little bit above average.
People like you were why JJ wanted to kill himself.
Wow. Wow.
But I'm just saying, he clearly
what education system did you go in? Where did you go to school?
Look, I'm just saying, bullying helps some kids.
I am going to pretend you just did not say that.
This took a dark turn. Well,
I'm just saying, if JJ had some more structure in his life, he wouldn't have turned out the way he did.
Yeah.
It was because his mom was always redoing his room.
Yes.
It just everything that JJ did just seems like a cry for help. I know this movie's not about JJ.
It should have been.
But it should have been.
Could have fooled me.
Justice for JJ.
Like he didn't set firm boundaries in his life. Nobody like set boundaries for him, and he just like didn't. He just couldn't comprehend it. And I'm not saying that Robbie's turn is JJ's fault, but it's kind of JJ's fault.
Yeah.
Well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong because the moment that JJ decides to quote unquote invent LARPing, that's when Robbie starts his downward spiral. That's when he goes off the deep end there.
Yeah.
But I have my own theories about the psychology of some of these characters. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but yeah, in the beginning of the movie and kind of towards the end, like beginning of the third act, he did always wear hats. But when they were playing the full on like immersive super fun version of
Yeah.
Mazes and Monsters, he was Sans hat, which makes me want to think that he used the hats as some kind of like a mental defense, or a coping mechanism or
Yeah.
something.
Coping mechanism plus 20.
Indeed. Constitution buff.
Isn't he's like a professional actor, right? He kept talking about
Yeah, he
getting
wanted
into
to be an
film
actor.
or
Oh
getting
yeah.
into plays. And so when you first see him, he's wearing like a World War One hat. And I'm like, okay, what club is he in?
Well,
And
how
they
else
don't
was he
even
supposed to ride his moped into school?
right. I was like, okay, he's got to be some kind of dramatic guy. Did anyone notice that like at the Halloween party, they asked him what costume he wore, and he said Noel Coward, and I looked up Noel Coward, and he's an English playwright and composer,
Yeah.
which was supposed to be a killer joke in 1982.
1982 love Noel Coward humor.
Yes, I mean in the remake of this movie, that would be Seth Rogen. And I'm not sure what English playwright joke he would use, but it would have to win over the audience.
It'd be a marijuana joke pun.
Is the joke just like the pun on his name, or is there something that I don't know? Like is there something deeper? Was he a joke? Like Nicolas Cage was a joke, or like Milton Berle was a joke, or Bob Saget was a joke?
I think you were just supposed to be like, "Oh, Noel Coward, that guy." Oh,
Classic
man.
JJ.
Classic JJ. Only JJ would be.
Oh,
that.
you JJ.
Yeah, I also like that everyone like there at the party was like, "Oh yeah, I totally get that."
Yeah.
Everyone appreciated it, I'm sure.
Also, he was 16 and he was drinking alcohol. I don't.
Did he
We
say
don't
he
know.
was 16?
Yeah,
Yeah.
He said
Oh.
something about his
Yeah.
sophomore year being,
and
he's
he's 16.
Oh, I missed
Yeah.
that.
Well, hey, he's speed running the education system. So to the victor go the spoils.
Also, like Tom Hanks shows up to that like Halloween party and he like busts out like a bottle of wine. Can you imagine how disappointed you would be if you were at a Halloween college rager and some pretentious dude just brings out a bottle of wine instead of some natty light?
No, it couldn't have been that good because JJ makes the joke like, "Oh, 1987, good year."
Which is weird because that's the future.
Yeah, that really
Exactly.
confused us because we were like, wait a minute, this is like before 1987.
Was,
Unless he
was
said
there,
1887.
Was there a joke where you say some wine bottles are from the future when you want to say they're bad? Was that like a trend in the 80s?
It could have been.
Classic JJ.
Yeah, classic. What is
Oh,
this?
that is
champagne
so
2027?
JJ.
It's so good that it has to be from the future.
Mike, I also think this is just one of those movies that's not too worried about its continuity.
Yeah.
It doesn't
No.
care what year it's set in. It's chill like that.
So retroactively, we're seeing Tom Hanks, and he is being total Tom Hanks. Like
Yeah.
he will forever carry this acting prowess into the future.
Mhm.
Did that make the movie better for you if you're a Tom Hanks fan?
I just thought it was funny because every time he crashed out, it just sounded like Woody crashing out.
There was no prototypical Tom Hanks. Like
I
as soon as he did movies, that's who he was.
Yeah.
I also just couldn't help at the beginning of the movie. He's like running alongside Kate or whatever, and I was like, "This is just Forrest Gump."
Yeah.
Forrest Gump just
And-
lives rent free in your head, man, doesn't
And
it?
just every time he was like crashing out, I was just waiting for him to just like slip into that Alabama drawl, you know? Like I was
Yeah.
like waiting for it. And like if he if he was on top of the World Trade Center and said bye Jenny and jumped off, I 10 out of 10 stars. Martin Scorsese, absolute cinema.
That would have been insane, like 10 years
Oh.
before Forrest Gump. Just
I
or
I
more
would have
years.
I would have stopped watching movies because that would have been the pinnacle.
You would have done a deep dive into the internet if that had happened. I
We
want
live
to
in a
know.
simulation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I want to know if director Stephen Hillard like just got like a future glimpse of him getting all these, Emmys and Oscars and being like, we got to change the film. JJ, get out of here. Tom Hanks, this is all you. Trust me.
It was originally written for JJ, but he had a dream from the Great Hall that Tom Hanks would
Yes.
become a big star.
Right. Can we talk about his brother, who's only mentioned as a dream voice? Has your brother ever suggested that you become celibate and holy? I mean, maybe as a prank. Like that would be hilarious. Like I told my brother he has to be celibate for the rest of his life. You believe me?
He's pranking him from the afterlife.
Yes. Watch, he's gonna break up with the fox of his girlfriend. Oh, hilarious.
Well, I don't think the actual Hall or Hal or I
Yeah.
thought it was HAL maybe at one point.
Mhm.
Regardless, I think he was starting to have those visions, those dreams and delusions because it was his subconscious trying to cope with the trauma of losing his brother.
Yeah.
And it
Because he
was-
said his brother asked him for the money to go to New York and he gave it to him, so he feels like it was his fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
just
actually thought-
an intense amount of guilt there.
Yeah, that as a premise for a character's motivation alone was good. The fact that it kind of got muddied by this whole like mazes and monsters. Like, is it the game? Is it Robbie? Is it because this cave is scary? And they tried to make the maze, like the actual cave, like it was haunted, was some kind of like evil. Like the movie just didn't know what the bad guy was in this film, and it kept like switching.
Yeah.
It didn't know who the good guy was either, but
Yeah, I'm gonna be.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I was just waiting for a magic portal to open up in the cave to take them to an actual D&D
Yeah.
realm where they would have this fantastic adventure. But
And then it
Nope.
was all a dream.
Yeah. Bit of an existential crisis question here. Do you think Robbie had a psychotic break because it's easier to be schizophrenic than it is to be friends with JJ? like, like, like there are points in the movie where I'm like, yeah, I can see why Robbie chose to be schizophrenic.
No, but it's so weird because as they're driving back to see Robbie at the end, they're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, his mother said he's seeing a doctor and he's doing like a lot better. And
Yeah.
then when they get there, he's
And
like,
then-
he's worse. Like,
He gets worse because JJ's there.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, well, here's the thing. Like I was waiting, and this is would have got me a 10 out of 10. Quit movies forever. If he was doing the whole bit of like, oh, I'm Pardue and welcome, fair maiden, and like they're getting more and more confused, and like the last 3 seconds, oh guys, I'm just screwing with you. I'm okay.
gotcha.
yeah.
Just rug pull
felt
them.
like-
the whole
I was
movie.
literally waiting for that. I was like, if he is like, oh, I'm just joking. Like,
Yeah.
He's on top of the tower,
Tom
and
Hanks.
it's like, oh, I
Tom
got you.
Hanks
I got you
smile.
so good.
Yes.
It's like Tom Hanks smiling his way through it. He's just like, "Oh, you guys are so
He's so gullible.
so silly. He's so gullible."
But now that we bring up other Tom Hanks movies, I feel like Toy Story is stole something from this
Right?
movie. Because
right?
Buzz Lightyear is Robbie. You're
Yeah.
just a child's plaything.
Yeah. I literally thought about
Are
that.
you saying that toys can have psychotic breaks from reality?
Yes.
That they can just descend into psychosis?
Yes.
that they
can
could-
believe the
That they
wrong
could go
thing.
into fugue states, just pick up and leave their
Yes.
their child's home and just take off?
Yes.
Well, actually,
Yes.
now that I'm saying it out loud, Yeah, I think I'm proving my point.
And I'm
Wow.
almost in tears thinking about the comparison because Buzz Lightyear thought he could fly too. As Robbie thought he could fly, being the holy man Pardue. And I wish Tom Hanks jumped and he did creative gliding on the way down to New York City.
That would have
He
been
won't be
Like,
falling
movies
with
forever.
style, my guy.
Suddenly the effects get really good as he's like POV gliding through the city.
If that happened, oh my gosh, we do live in a simulation.
Or we all watch the movie and then we all say that something different happened at the end.
Right.
We all saw something else.
This is a Rorschach where we all see
Yeah.
something different.
It's a social experiment.
Yes. Oh, I'm crying.
Yeah, well, I mean, to just go down even the the deep end. In Kingdom
We're
Hearts
going deeper
3,
now. Okay.
in the Toy Story part, Sora is talking with Woody, and they're talking about like some of the toys in the area that aren't sentient like Woody is, and Woody goes, they haven't figured it out yet. They don't have that like bark. So like you need to have, I guess for like toys, they have to have like a rip with reality to become sentient toys.
They have to have trauma first.
Yeah. So
wow.
is Robbie is Tom Hanks having a schizophrenic break as Robbie what leads to him being Woody? Is
I am-
his
Yes.
experience?
I'm getting more convinced that all Toy Story was just an amalgamation of this movie and Brave Little Toaster.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they don't show you the sequel to Mazes and Monsters 2 when the doctors have this breakthrough. We're like, we can't convince him he's not Pardue, but we can convince him he's a toy cowboy.
And Kate
then-
is Bo Peep.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Saving Private Ryan is just them trying to retrieve his unshattered psyche and bring it back so he can be whole.
Every
Yes.
Tom Hanks movie is connected through Mazes and Monsters if you try hard
Oh.
enough.
Which one's Joe and which one's the volcano?
Where does You've Got Mail fit in?
Yes. That was
You
in
got
New York.
mail. Yeah, it was in New York.
He has 6 degrees of Mazes and Monsters.
And then somewhere in there, he's Walt Disney. He had to become Walt Disney to assert dominance over his Woody persona.
Oh, there needs to be a battle royale movie where all the psyches of Tom Hanks fight for supremacy on his mind.
And it all goes back to bosom buddies.
Yes. Oh my gosh, this stuff writes itself.
Oh,
So, leave your comments below
Yeah.
if you think we haven't all jumped the shark and these theories are valid.
How'd the movie end for you?
Yes, yes. Everyone leave a comment. What happened when Tom Hanks said he could fly? Yes. Well, I want to know, based on what we've explained and based on how we describe the plot, the people listening, do you want to watch this movie or are you scared of this movie?
I feel like we've highly oversold it because we're having so much fun talking about it. It's kind of a boring movie. Like it's pretty slowly
it's
paced.
terrible.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
it's not a good movie. It's not fun. It has
Yeah.
fun moments, but
I would have pitched it as like a failed after school special, or maybe one
Yes.
that got like watered down, like don't do drugs, stay in school, don't talk to Satan through your board game.
Right. I was relieved when the fantasy parts were done because they were so boring compared to
Right.
the relationship building parts. Which
it was just
makes-
watching them like have a conversation and plot along.
Which makes sense because I heard this on another podcast reviewing this movie. Rona Jeff, she wanted to write like a romance. Like this book is more romance
Right.
and relationship than it is anything to do because she has no idea how Dungeons and Dragons works. As you
Right.
can tell through the script when she's talking about points and the die rolls, she has no idea how they work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she'll admit that she just kind of used it as a vehicle and she just wanted to write a romance.
Well, that and little girl was playing the game. I mean, that was an obvious tell she didn't know what she was writing about.
They willingly let a girl into their circle.
Yes, a girl willingly wanted to be in their circle. I think that's the bridge too far.
A
Right
girl wanted to spend time with JJ.
I was thinking about like whatever side characters were like having exchanges with these guys. Like, hey, what are you doing tonight? Oh, we're gonna get together with my friends. We're gonna play Mazes and Monsters. Oh, cool. We're gonna go over to this couch and make out. Have fun.
Yeah.
Also, if we
That's-
call it D&D in like our world, do they call it M&M?
I hope so.
Gonna play
I
some
really
M&M?
do.
Yeah.
I
Trademark
feel like
still.
Daniel is like too cool and too popular. Like he'd be the Freddie Prinze Jr. of the group, and like he should be knocking the books out of JJ's hands, not getting into being the maze controller.
Well, it's funny
Painting
because
models.
like it's like the portrayal of mazes and monsters is like somehow both old fashioned and ahead of its time. Because like nowadays, like modern day D&D, it is like very cool to play it now. You know, post Stranger Things, like more and more people are getting into it. You know, there's definitely like a big push into into normies, playing and stuff. Like, when I'm out and about and I'm in, now that it's summer, I'm rocking more short sleeves. The tattoo that I get the most comments about are my D20. Like, everyone, like, just I meet the most random people and they all have a Dungeons and Dragons story, and it's like, a 40-year-old dad at my work that's like picking up their kid, or it's a 16-year-old waiting in line at like a grocery store. Like, I've had so many different conversations with different people from different walks of life that you wouldn't like immediately peg as like oh, you play D&D. Like, you look at me in real life, you're like, yeah, that guy plays D&D. But like like the Mazes and Monsters show, like I think it shows that it's a very futurist portrayal of it, because it's like, yeah, I don't think the perception of people that play D&D at that time, I don't think people would be like, oh yeah, like not handsome, blonde hair, all American leading man.
Right. Yeah. Well, this one thing, this movie portrays D&D players as like very unstable when it hits rejection. You got JJ whose plans get delayed, not even canceled, talking about suicide in the next scene. And then
Not just talking about it, but romanticizing it.
yes.
Yeah.
And then
That is the
Robbie-
distinction here.
Yeah, Robbie tells Kate, I want to live with you. We can live together. And she says no. That's his rejection, leads him to having a psychotic breakdown in a cave. So if you ask, like, do you think, D&D players have a strong constitution? Like, this Rona actor or author would say, no, I think they're the weakest, most unstable creatures
Well,
on God's green earth.
meanwhile, Daniel's biggest problem is that he's hooking up with too many smoking hot babes.
Yes.
Oh, gee. Woe
Poor
is
Daniel.
Daniel. First world problems.
I think my favorite interaction is, him talking to JJ, and he's like, yeah, I just can't stop hooking up with people. I wish I could get a stable girlfriend. And JJ's like, I just want someone to talk to me.
She's like, no one will talk to me, so.
And then
God,
Daniel's like,
if one of the dozens of hot chicks that want to be with me would just talk to you, things would be better.
Yes.
He's like,
You're just like, share the love, man.
he's like, I understand that you're feeling down right now, and you feel you got the blues, but I got a real problem on my hands. The ladies can't leave me alone.
Yes, I am never lonely. Yes.
Yeah, Daniel's like, I have parents that are invested in my future and want what's best for me. I'm handsome. I'm overqualified for this school, and women love me. And even if I fail at this career choice, my dad will take me into his company and let me be in, and I'll be set for life. Oh, also, I'm rich.
Yeah, this guy's not a big fish in a small pond. He's a freaking Chinook salmon in a kiddie pool.
Yes.
JJ's just like, my mother painted my room entirely white.
Yeah, my mom sold all my stuff because she thinks I'm a loser.
My mom threw away my entire room.
My mom hates my identity.
All I have
My-
is my bird and my hats.
Incredible.
So, Adam, have
Mhm.
you heard any wonderful reviews that are worthy of
Oh,
My-
yeah.
mentioning?
I can't believe I didn't start with these. I got some absolute bangers. Here's
Oh,
my
Adam's like,
favorite.
oh, have I?
This guy is he decided not to leave his name on this review. It's from December 23rd, 2010. Typical female mad film in which a supposed gay or gay adjacent male die or go crazy, never go back. Very sad. Remember, guys, do what mom says and don't be gay. Don't mess with other boys or be a wanker. Girls can't afford to mess around this time, and you have a heritage to maintain.
This movie.
What movie
What?
did this
Wow.
This was a
Wow.
half-star review of Mazes and Monsters.
Wow.
Yeah. Based on what they said, I agree with them, but I don't know what movie they saw.
I
I
mean,
don't know either.
he might not be wrong, but geez, I get why this incel wouldn't want to use his real name on this review.
Yeah, incredible. I've read that like 5 times, and I still don't understand.
I'd understand.
This guy's probably got a lot of karma on Reddit.
Yeah, right. And where is it? The other one is let's see, where are you? Oh, this one's great. This one's actually good. 2 out of 10 stars on IMDb. You rolled a 2 for -10 intelligence points. In 1982, the world was a completely different place, where you have LARPing, gaming, cosplay conventions. Back then, you had a small group of kids who enjoyed fantasy adventure games like Dungeons and Dragons, played way out of sight of polite society in a basement. Of course, parenting was different too. Nowadays, it's not really an issue to have kids hooked on to the latest fantasy adventure film, but back in Reagan-era America, there's a lot of things to worry about, like how D&D would cause serious harm to your children. To quote Eric Cartman, fragile little minds. This made-for-TV film explores just that, the effects of getting too engrossed in a fantasy world.
Oh,
Huh.
that's what
Are they
we were
pro
all
or
thinking.
anti D&D? I can't tell.
I don't know. They gave it a 2 out of 10 stars.
Well, this movie doesn't even know if it's pro or anti.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Yeah, the review was so sincere, but I still can't figure out the take he's trying to make on it.
Exactly.
Wow.
You know,
And sorry, I have one last one. The review isn't really worth reading. I just really loved the title of their review, a biased and bigoted drama.
Wow.
right.
Wow.
Oh, because it was against JJ
Yeah.
and his
Yeah.
character arc.
Exactly. Also in this review, I remember also why I picked this one. It says, when Tom Hanks goes to New York City and starts looking for the 2 towers, in a post 9/11 world, the site of the World Trade Center gives this movie another meaning.
Yep. Mm. Yep. Yep. Said the quiet part out loud.
Oh my gosh.
Ugh.
Another this I would believe a simulation if someone said we didn't mention he met a homeless guy like
Oh, yeah.
below
Oh, yeah.
below the
not just
subway.
any homeless guy. He met the King of France.
Yes, and Tom Hanks is like, my liege, will you tell me where the 2 towers are? And yeah, he's like, that I know. It would have been so mind-blowing if he's like, there are no 2 towers.
Yeah, right.
Or just say something like, well, they won't be there much longer.
Wow.
Oh
Be a
no.
shame if something happened to those.
Oh my god.
What if he was like, he's like, oh, you can't miss them. They're never going anywhere. Oh no. All right. This-
But
when, when we're all running for public office in a couple of years, this is gonna come back to haunt us.
All of us.
so much.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah, you still have a shot at governor. We don't. We do not have a shot.
No.
Well, joke's on you. I ruined my chances way before this show.
Yes. Well, to keep with the movie's theme, the joke, he could have said, Two Towers, a good year, 2020 or 2001.
No, no.
Oh, my bad. All right, back on the track. What is the one redeeming like? Who wins the award for this movie? Like, who did the best? It could have been the person who picked the awful songs. It could have been the lighting. It could have been an actor. So, Vincent, we'll start with you. Who wins the award for this movie?
Do I have to?
You have to give this movie an award.
Well,
Did this movie make you
I
smile
do.
at all?
Well, it did kind of, I kind of did get a little bit of headcanon near the end when Daniel was talking about how he was gonna take his father's advice and, become a captain of industry in the realm of computer science. And I thought, yeah, and he'll probably meet a young enterprising developer named Scott Cawthon.
Oh, maybe. All right, so that's
Five
what you
Nights
like.
in
And
the
that's the
Mazes and
award?
Monsters.
The award goes to Scott Coffin.
Or
Wow.
what, you want to give it to Toy Story for like setting up that with
You
all
could
of
give it
this
to the Twin
other
Towers.
what's wrong with my headcanon?
No, you did great. Your headcanon was perfect. Everyone likes it.
Don't pity me.
Adam, who wins the award for this?
Oh, Mike, I feel like there's one very clear, one very obvious answer to this. It is your favorite musician and mine, Haggard Hardy, the guy that made that stupid "Friends in the World" song that keeps playing at inappropriate time.
Oh my god! You
I
looked
liked
it up.
how it was playing with scenes of Robbie and Kate like falling in love.
Yeah,
And the song is like
Mhm.
very, very just strictly friendship based. It's like best friends.
Okay.
Nothing
Okay,
romantic about it.
I'm gonna be real. That does perfectly describe the effect of that song. It's like you go into any kind of an awkward situation, you just have a guy with a boombox and a cassette tape that like just mashes play and that song starts playing. Oh man, it just immediately gets much, much worse.
I feel like any one of our moms could have recorded that.
And my
Like, I
mom's
don't have
deaf, so that's saying something.
It's true. That is true.
Guys, don't make your mom jokes to Adam.
No,
You
it's
learn
fine.
now.
It's fine. She won't hear them. It's fine. It's fine. I would say it to her face.
So when asked what closed down the Film Logic show, well, there was this one episode where we got a little too off on the Twin Towers, and then Adam's mom got brought into it, and then the
Bullying helps some kids.
yes, the
No,
FCC just shut us down.
Look. I'm just saying, if JJ got bullied a little bit, like if he went to like basic training or something.
Adam, who
straighten
hurt
him
you?
out.
Who hurt you so badly?
The hat police.
JJ did.
So the
So
winner.
JJ's not getting the award.
Well, I'm going to say the award goes to the on-call specialist that helped with the psychology of the movie, because that person was called a lot.
Not enough.
Can someone go crazy in a cave? Yes, if they see a Goreville. Can someone's brother ask for them to be celibate in a dream? Yes, that is a symptom of schizophrenia. All right, and Ivy, who wins for this movie?
I guess I'm gonna have to go with Kevin Peter Hall because that's just a crazy thing to be in this movie.
Yeah,
That is
It's just
such a-
like, oh,
That is such a deep cut of trivia.
yeah, that paper
I
mache
never-
thing is just
I never realized. Never would have realized.
So here's a question. If Tom Hanks wasn't in this movie and it was some no name, would this movie be worse or better?
Ooh,
Because I feel
that's a
like
good question.
that was my one nostalgia anchor in this movie that made me think, okay, all right, I have a reason to stick around.
Well, I feel like it wouldn't have been as fun to talk about because half of our jokes have just been Tom Hanks movies based.
Right. And I feel like
I mean, other than that, I don't think any other actor being in the movie would have moved the needle.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the fact that I'm gonna plaster Tom Hanks' name in the title, in the description, for that
Hashtag Tom Hanks.
yeah, for those free clicks.
Just tag him in the post on social media.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, to be the greatest, to be enjoyed, to be avoided, or just to be forgotten. Ivy, we'll start with you because this is your child.
Wow, that's a little personal. Okay. I only picked it because it was just a bad movie that fit the theme from last time. I'm gonna say to be enjoyed -1 because we did enjoy it to some extent. But it is, as we said earlier, a pretty flat, boring movie. So I don't really recommend that you go watch it. Like, it's not something that you're gonna watch and then just like yuck it up laughing. It's not that bad funny, but there's parts of it that, you know, are kind of goofy. So
that's pretty accurate. As long as you've got if you've got a circle of friends like this merry band of weirdos that we've assembled here, then yeah, this is an enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
But if you have no friends, I wouldn't recommend.
Like JJ.
Like JJ.
JJ had friends. Leave him alone.
They kept rescheduling.
Not enough.
Yeah. So, Vincent, what would you say? To be enjoyed, to be avoided?
Oh, I'm gonna have to say avoid this one. It's got to be avoided. I mean, even if you don't take into account, you know, the quality of the writing and the story, it's not even a very good movie to just kind of have on in the background because it's just aesthetically boring. And I don't know if that's because of, you know, the grainy VHS recording quality or like the muddy audio that was used to post this online.
Because I love that kind of quality on a movie. And
well,
it was just nauseating to watch.
I mean, I like that for the nostalgia factor.
Right.
But the audio was literally, it was like in the beginning, I couldn't really hear what the characters were. I had to turn on the captions.
Yeah, I had the captions on for sure.
Yeah, because if I had them off, I wouldn't have been able to make heads or tails of it.
Yeah.
Maybe I would have had a better experience. I don't know.
For a movie based on like make-believe and fantasy and like world building, the colors and the props were so drab in this. Like they went out of their way to make it just so boring looking.
Yeah.
Which tells me that the author who wrote this book just did not care at all.
Nor did the director, apparently.
Yeah.
He had no creative vision.
I love that, like, when people are like, yeah, the 80s, neon, like, bright colors.
Exactly.
But in actuality, it was beige and brown and exactly like this movie. Like,
it was wood paneling and burgundy sweaters.
Yeah.
No,
exactly.
no. But comparing it to burgundy and wood paneling, that's being too good to this movie.
Yeah.
I like wood paneling, okay? It's nostalgic.
I like wood paneling.
Vincent, you want to watch a movie about wood paneling?
I think it would be more entertaining than Mazes and Monsters.
Yes.
It's valid.
Acting would be less wooden.
Get out.
Hey.
Get out.
The 9/11 jokes were fine, but that one...
That was too far. That one was too far.
Nope.
That's when the FCC shut us down.
Oh my gosh. Mike, for me, it's gonna be I agree with Vic. This is to be avoided. Don't waste your time. This movie is so long for no reason.
It's
100 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's with commercials not
Yeah.
there. So imagine
Yeah.
it with commercials.
It's
Yeah.
it's so bad. And yeah, the pacing of this movie is god awful. It's so it drags.
Yeah.
That
I'm almost positive that in at least 2 of the scenes, they just reused shots to pad it out.
Probably.
there's
Mhm.
Just like eke
And-
out a few more minutes of runtime.
and also the plot just makes no sense. And they're like the more what like I don't even know what the moral of this like the whole point of this movie was that it was supposed to have like a moral, right? Like it's a after school
Right.
special, like it's supposed to have like a moral story. What was the moral of this story? Because it certainly wasn't, hey, let's don't play Mazes and Monsters, because what's the last thing they do at the end of the movie? They play Mazes
Yeah.
and Monsters.
Which was also a really stupid, harmful decision because they're just fueling
They're
his
enablers.
delusion more. They're making it worse.
They're like offering him heroin at that point.
Oh, I almost didn't mention this, but his parents are reinforcing his delusion by
Yeah.
taking on the role of the innkeeper and his wife
Yeah.
with the coin that he pays them with and just magically goes back into his pouch when he wakes up. That's enabling his psychosis.
Whatever
My
the
God.
doctors are trying to do, they're just making their job harder.
Yes, the fact that his dad dresses up as a dragon and runs outside during the night doesn't help
Yeah.
either.
That doesn't happen in the movie, by the way, but that's a really funny idea.
Yes.
Just for the
That would have made the movie
Because I
better,
feel like-
honestly.
yeah, I feel like if the listeners who didn't watch it heard you say that, they will go watch it, expecting to see that at the end.
Well, all of our listeners think that this is like a deep conspiracy movie that ties every Tom Hanks movie together.
It is. It
So-
is.
It is.
Well, and for my review, I was going to say, if any of what we conspired today was even remotely true, like even if it was a passing idea in Pixar's mind to incorporate it, I would say this is Tubi the greatest. But the fact that we can't have good things like that, I'm going to say this is a Tubi avoided movie. It's not even Tubi forgotten because that song that plays makes me want to avoid it. And I can never forget this movie. Like the only reason you want to watch this movie is ironically. Like that's
Yeah.
the only enjoyment you'll get. I mean, Tom Hanks, he does an admirable job, and I can understand why studios wanted to hire him for other things. But like this script and director did him no favors. So this is to be avoided. I had to have checked the timeline on my Tubi at least 3 times, and those were during the fantasy scenes. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've nailed this movie. We got a critical hit from this critical fail.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Vic, you're next. Are you going to continue the trend of the summer of D&D spinoffs?
No, I think we've pretty much put that monster to bed. I think we've put the last nail in that coffin.
We
Drove
reached
the
peak.
last stake through that heart. Yes,
We killed the
we've
Gorville.
we've killed the Gorville. We've saved the princess. We've done the things. Yeah, it's time to move on. But my suggestion is I think it's gonna be pretty pretty interesting. I think you guys are gonna
Oh.
like it.
Oh, so you're going to do the Battleship movie starting Rihanna.
No, I'm not gonna be that good to you. I'm gonna give you the dollar store knockoff that was made by the Avengers Grimm people.
Oh gosh, they made that. Well, there you have it, folks. If this movie doesn't make you want us to listen to this podcast, we don't know if the next movie will, but we thank you so much for being part of this. And if you're curious at all of this is
Yes.
free on Tubi.
Yes, you
so
can go on there and search this up
Yeah.
and watch it and see the second worst thing to happen at the World Trade Center.
Oh my gosh.
Are we done?
And there you have it. There you have it, folks.
Wow.
If the FCC doesn't shut us down, we will be watching Vincent's movie and talking about it in 2 weeks. So I've been Mike.
I'm Adam.
I've been Biggie Poopmeister. I don't know
Oh,
about
yeah.
you
Oh, yeah.
guys, but
Oh,
I'm still
darn.
that person.
Forgot
Yeah,
about that.
We lost our character.
Yeah.
I'm Robbie.
Tank McStank, the Danger Ranger, just walked off into the forest, never to be seen again, but smelt for a while.
Yes.
And otherwise, I've been Vin.
Yeah.
Yes, you
Got my
have.
popcorn
Well,
for the
thank
show,
you
it's
for
Tubi time. Cheesy sci-fi flicks and every weird rhyme. Aliens and spaceships made of tinfoil dreams in a cardboard universe where nothing's as it seems. Yeah, as it seems. They got ray guns blasting in a paper sky. Cheap effects, but fun enough to fill your eye. Plot holes deeper than a crater on the moon, but I'm hooked like fish to a melody and tune.